Welcome to the Fraud Files. Before we dive into today's episode, make sure to hit that follow button. Don't miss out on unraveling the mysteries with us every week. If you're a CPA like me, you can earn CPE credit for listening to this podcast. All you have to do is answer the course questions at FloQademy.com. That's FloQademy.com. The link is in the show description. Enjoy.
Previously on the Fraud Files.
The SEC has issued a press release about Dawn Bennett Financial Services, in which they announced charges against Bennett for allegedly inflating both the amount of assets under management by her firm and the investment returns obtained by BGFS. The SEC alleged that this took place on Bennett's paid weekly radio program, Financial Myth-Busting with Dawn Bennett.
The Cowboys had filed a lawsuit seeking $7.3 million in damages from a luxury suite owner who allegedly breached her contract.
Episode 4, Agent Custer's Affidavit.
I am a special agent with the Federal Bureau of Investigation, United States Department of Justice. I've been employed by the FBI for approximately 10 years, during which time I've been assigned to the Baltimore Division. I am currently assigned to a white-collar crime squad. I have received instruction and training along with investigative experience in securities fraud, mortgage fraud, financial institution fraud, healthcare fraud, and money laundering. In addition, I've received training in computer forensics and electronic email or email analysis. In the course of conducting or participating in criminal investigations, I've been involved in interviewing and debriefing witnesses and informants, conducting physical surveillance, analyzing bank records and other financial documents, analyzing telephone records, collecting and analyzing evidence, and preparing and executing search warrants, including search warrants for email accounts. I've personally participated in this investigation and have witnessed many of the facts and circumstances described herein. I've also received information from other law enforcement officers relating to this investigation. The information set forth in this affidavit is based on my own observations and review of documents, or reliable information provided to me by law enforcement personnel. In December 2015, the Baltimore Division of the FBI was contacted by representatives from the Philadelphia Regional Office of the Securities and Exchange Commission's Enforcement Division regarding potential criminal acts being committed by Dawn J. Bennett, a registered investment advisor. Hello, Agent Custer speaking.
Hi, Agent Custer. This is Miss Singh from the Securities and Exchange Commission.
Oh, nice to hear from you, Miss Singh. What can I do for you?
We have some information on an individual that may be of interest.
A name?
Dawn J. Bennett.
Got it.
Earlier this year, we were contacted by a representative from Old Line Bank, or OLB, located in Waldorf, Maryland, regarding one of their clients.
Name?
Let's call her Individual 1.
Okay, Individual 1. Go ahead.
Individual 1 is an 80-year-old female from Maryland. The OLB representative advised the SEC that Individual 1 went to her local branch to conduct a wire transfer for a proposed investment. As a precaution, OLB asked Individual 1 for supporting documentation related to the proposed investment. Individual 1 provided OLB with a document titled DJ Bennett Holding LLC, Secure Convertible Note Financing Summary of Terms.
When was this?
This document was dated October 20, 2015, and was signed by Individual 1 on October 27, 2015, using the title Investor, and was also signed by Dawn J. Bennett on October 30th, 2015, using the title CEODJBennett.com. The amount to be invested was $32,300. A review of the summary of terms found that Bennett was purporting to raise funds for DJ Bennett Holding LLC and was offering an annual interest rate of 15% via secured convertible promissory notes. The summary of terms document further stated that the proceeds of the notes will be used for prototype and product development, patent filings, engineering services, and other operating expenses. On the signature page, directly underneath the signature section, were wiring instructions directing funds to be wired to an account ending in 2861 at First Republic Bank, or FRB 2861 in San Francisco, California, in the name of DJB Holding LLC.
What am I missing here?
Below the wiring instructions was a paragraph titled, Risks of Investing in this Investment, which stated a few things, but of note is the following. Investing in this offering involves a high degree of risk. Investors must be able to afford to lose their entire investment. Investment products are not FDI insured, may lose value, and there is no bank guarantee.
Interesting.
OLB was concerned that this investment was not appropriate for an investor of individual one's age. OLB conducted preliminary research on Bennett and located the September 2015 SEC Enforcement Division press release, which aroused OLB suspicions and led OLB to contact us. Are you aware of the press release I'm referring to?
I'm pulling it up now. It says here that Dawn J. Bennett frequently touted to customers and more broadly on her paid radio program that highly profitable investment returns generated by Bennett Group Financial Services placed it in the top 1% of firms worldwide without disclosing that the returns were calculated for a model portfolio and not based on actual investor performance. The SEC Enforcement Division further alleges that Bennett and her firm claimed to be managing more than $2 billion in assets. The real number was no more than 1/5 of that amount. Are you aware of any additional victims who were financially affected?
Well, we were hoping you could help with that.
Fucking finally! Sorry, Professor. It's just I was waiting for the FBI to show up.
That's right. And up until this part of the story, we knew that FINRA and the SEC had their eyes on Dawn. But both of those investigations pertain to her financial advising business. However, in December of 2015, the FBI was tipped off by the SEC for potential criminal activity regarding the investments in DJBennett.com.
So Dawn was only aware of FINRA and the SEC, but not the FBI, right?
Correct. And had she known that the FBI was on her tail as well, I'm sure she would have spiraled even more out of control than she already did.
Ben Collins at Pooja.net speaking.
Ben, hi.
Oh, hi, Dawn. How are you?
I'm not doing so great, Ben, if I'm being honest. I was wondering what you thought about setting up Mahakali Yagyas for me throughout October to December of 2015, as well as January of 2016.
That's quite an extensive period of time, Dawn. It would be quite expensive.
Ben, I told you, I'm in a very tough fight against my enemies. I need all the help I can get.
Well, we're here to help. And we do appreciate your business.
I'm on Pooja.net right now. This is what it says in the About Us section. The Yagya group was formed by Ben Collins and Sri Narasimha Bhattar following a trip to India in 1997. After enjoying several weeks of traditional Hindu Yagya ceremonies, we returned and found that a surprising number of people in America were interested in access to effective and affordable yagyas. They've been in business for over 20 years.
They obviously cater to a niche audience, but I guess not much different than the shamans that all the celebs have on retainer.
I mean, Dawn truly viewed herself as a member of the elite. However, the people footing the bill were not. Like individual number 8, who Dawn had been manipulating for quite a while.
Individual number 8, that's Andrew. He was the client who was caring for his sick wife. But he was rejecting Dawn's request to invest in her business.
Exactly. He rejected her proposals to invest in DJBennett.com in April of 2015. He said Dawn was already managing him and his wife's only security blanket, and they couldn't take on any additional risk.
Please tell me they didn't change their minds.
Well...
Hello, Dawn speaking.
Hi, Dawn. How are you?
I'm good, Andrew. How is your wife? I've been keeping her in my prayers.
That's why I'm calling, actually. Those flowers you sent over yesterday made her day. She couldn't stop talking about them.
My pleasure, Andrew. If there's anything else I can do, please let me know.
You've already done so much. Taking us for dinner, sending flowers. The gifts. My wife has dreamed her whole life of owning Louboutins. You making that dream come true means the world to us. I have family members who are doing less in our time of need. If I can ever help you, Dawn, please let me know.
Well, there is something you could do.
And unfortunately, he did.
Andrew's check just cleared into the Monument bank account.
Fucking finally! I mean, yes, terrible. His wife's sick. But Jesus, Andrew. Took you long enough to see the path.
That's terrible.
How much was it for?
The first one that cleared on April 1st, 2016, was for $100,000.
The first one?
Yes, and unfortunately, between April and September of 2016, individual number 8, let's call him Andrew, sent over $850,000 in wires to Bennett.
So this Monument Bank account that was mentioned, that's a new account, right? But not the First Republic one we've been tracking.
Nice catch. Now, according to the affidavit, we know that beginning in January of 2016, Bennett began directing victim investor deposits to her new account at Momentum Bank, referred to as MB2678. A review of MB2678 found that the account was opened on December 11th, 2015, in the name of DJB Holdings, LLC, doing business as DJBennett.com. Bennett was the sole signer on the account.
It's actually remarkable that Dawn was able to convince Andrew to keep sending money, all while his wife was in that state.
She must have really put the sell on her.
Now, we know that Dawn was very persuasive and at times could be somewhat of a bully. Now, if we take a look at an email exchange between Andrew and Dawn in April 2016, we should get some better insight into their dynamic.
Dear Dawn, I am in therapy from 9 to 11, so immediately following, I can do that with the wiring instructions. Thank you. And sometime soon, when my wife is sharp enough by being awake late in the day or early evening to be party to a phone call on the matter of the IRA accounts and moving them your direction to achieve what you have so very generously described to me as late as yesterday when you learned our real financial circumstance. That is why, at this time in our lives, both 70 and with my wife bedridden, it is so hugely meaningful if you really believe a radical reinvestment of our only life savings could, without risk, realize the kind of returns over the next 2 years. For us, it would be nothing less than miraculous. And knowing now more than you ever would wish to know about us, I'm sure, you better appreciate why so conservative and gun-shy we have been with the funds you have managed. As that is it. Beyond what we recently sent you to invest at 15%, however many years the two of us have yet to live, to do so with financial security of the likes we spoke about yesterday in 2 years' time would be indescribable. Truly unbelievable. Thank you for letting me ramble. Got to now get ready for my therapy sessions. Fondly, Andrew.
It's clear from the email that Bennett had knowingly solicited individual number 8's entire life savings and promised him a guaranteed rate of return of 15% without risk. Individual number 8 has also made it clear that he's relying on these savings to provide for the care of a sick spouse and his desire to invest in a very conservative fashion.
She had no morals.
I'm almost too scared to ask, but what happened to individual 8, Andrew's money?
Our friend Agent Custer at the FBI did a thorough analysis of the money trail. I'll let him tell you.
The deposits made by individual number 8 constituted over 92% of the deposits to MB2678, with the remainder coming from the other 2 victim investors for a total of $60,000. 2 payments of $150,000 apiece were paid out to a law firm representing Bennett in litigation with FINRA and the SEC. $175,000 was paid out to CLPVCC Pavilion LP, which is the property owner for Don's office space. Based on a review of records from CLPFCC Pavilion LP, rent for the office space was approximately $71,170 per month in April of 2016, meaning Don likely used this $175,000 payment to pay out a year's rent. Don wired $20,000 to a personal account at United Bank, and less than $70,000 was paid out to individuals 9, 10, 11, and 12. I've identified individuals number 9, number 10, number 11, and number 12 as victim investors, and the amounts above are consistent with interest payments for the promissory notes these individuals have signed.
What type of person does this?
It's hard to make a case for Dawn's morals, isn't it? I mean, her behavior is consistent with a Ponzi scheme, which is paying existing investors with funds collected from new investments.
What did she do with that $20,000 she sent to her personal account? More shoes?
While we don't know exactly where that $20,000 went, Agent Custer was able to uncover some details around Dawn's personal spending.
On March 7th, 2016, Bennett made an American Express payment of approximately $55,760. The majority of expenses on that American Express account were personal in nature, including a $29,715 expense from Astrological Gem in Fairfield, Iowa, and an $11,000 400 expense from Puja.net in Washington State. According to its website, Astrological Gem specializes in providing top-quality natural gemstones for Vedic astrology. Puja.net provides clients with yagas, which can be described as Hindu ritual blessings or curses, performed by priests in India on behalf of Puja.net's clients.
I mean, I'm all for the what time were you born side of astrology, but that's too much.
Interesting what people will put their faith in when their back is up against the wall, right? It was around this time that Dawn received an interesting voicemail regarding the $750,000 line of credit that she obtained from Eagle Bank.
Hello, this is Danny from Eagle Bank. This message is for Ms. Bennett or Mr. Macho. This is the 20th message I've left on your machine. As you might recall, we extended you a line of credit last May for $750,000, contingent on an inventory audit and verification of your statement to Eagle Bank that your Western International brokerage accounts have between $4 million and $5 million in unencumbered liquid assets. We have not yet received any brokerage account information from you, and it has been over 6 months since the line of credit was extended. Please advise urgently on the status of these items, or just call me back. Call me back ASAP.
So, should I send him the Western International brokerage account statements?
Good question. Do they reflect that our account had between $4 million and $5 million in unencumbered liquid assets?
You know we've never had that much in those accounts.
Then why the fuck are you asking me such stupid questions? Just ignore it. I'll handle it.
Okay, I don't quite understand. Why wouldn't the bank just cut her off from the line of credit?
Well, we know that Dawn had a way with words. I mean, she talked her way into getting a loan that should have never been extended in the first place. And she kept that charade up as long as she could, until...
Hello, this is Danny from Eagle Bank. This message is for Ms. Bennett or Mr. Macho. I'm calling to let you know that your line of credit is now due in full. Please kindly repay the loan and its related interest immediately.
What? Why am I just finding out about this now?
What did you expect to happen? You told me to ignore them and that you would handle it.
And once again, I have to handle it. Where's my damn laptop? Dear Eagle Bank, this is very troubling to me. First, I was in China for the last 8 months, so I never received this letter. More importantly, and as a matter of fact, we sent everything requested at the face-to-face meeting via regular mail before I left the country. Thus, we would never have anticipated that our credit line would have been accelerated to be paid off. Something is not right.
And now what?
And now we wait. They've been begging to hear from us. I'm sure they'll be replying.
Look, they just wrote us back.
What does it say?
Dawn, the line was defaulted and accelerated months ago. See attached. We had to hire an attorney because there was no response from you or your attorney, and the line was not paid in full when requested. The additional interest is default interest, which is addressed in the letter.
Eagle Bank declared DJBennett.com was in default on February 18th, 2016, and a letter that cited a number of reasons for the default, including failure to provide the 2014 tax returns and failure to complete a satisfactory inventory collateral audit.
Yeah, she should have used one of those I'm out of office, traveling to China, automated email messages. Whole issue could have been avoided.
She said she was in China, but her American Express said she was in Maryland. A search of FBI databases was unable to confirm any international travel for Bennett during the time period in which she claimed to be in China, and a review of records provided for Bennett's personal American Express card during the time period showed numerous transactions at restaurants in Chevy Chase, Maryland, and Washington, D.C. areas where Bennett lived and worked.
So she never sent them anything?
Actually, she did. On December 5th, 2016, she directed Brad to send them a balance sheet from djbennett.com. It lists total liabilities of $762,457 on December 31st, 2015, consisting of the $750,000 Eagle Bank line of credit and accounts payable of $12,457. Now, omitted from this balance sheet are the outstanding promissory notes issued to the victim investors. These notes specifically stated that they were guaranteed by the assets of djbennett.com. On December 31st, 2015, the outstanding principal on the notes, not including interest due, would have been over $5 million and certainly should have been included on the djbennett.com balance sheet. Agent Custer believed that these notes were deliberately not included on the balance sheet to hide the true financial position of djbennett.com.
Did you say she sent the balance sheet in December of 2016? Didn't Eagle Bank declare the line of credit in default in February of 2016?
The timeline is a bit muddy here. Eagle Bank seems to have subsequently declared djbennett.com in default on February 18, 2016, meaning at some point after then is when they declared Bennett had defaulted, based on information they gathered, or in this case, information that they didn't gather.
Got it. Basically like doing an adjusting entry after year end.
Exactly. And Dawn likely sent that information in December, thinking there was a way she could get the default removed from her account.
Was she able to?
No, she had to pay it back.
How?
Using the same old tactics. Consistent with the fraud scheme, Bennett began paying off the maxed out $750,000 line of credit on June 30th, 2016, with a payment of $199,000, which was funded by individual number 15, a 70-year-old man from Florida.
Another elderly investor. Looks like Dawn had a type.
Yes, well, we already know by now that Dawn was a marketing genius. She targeted people who were generally older and therefore had a lot of money saved up, usually for retirement. And unfortunately, most of them weren't very financially savvy.
So she used individual 15's money to pay off the line of credit?
Let's see what the numbers tell us. According to the affidavit, Agent Custer conducted an in-depth analysis on individual number 15's funds.
On June 29th, 2016, MB2678 received a wire in the amount of $775,000 from individual 15, after which the following withdrawals were made. Consistent with Ponzi scheme activity, an earlier victim investor, individual number 3, was repaid with interest in the amount of $311,292, using the proceeds from individual number 15. Bennett also continued to use victim investor funds to pay her personal legal expenses, sending an $11,694 wire to law firm number 1, previously identified as representing her in the FINRA investigation. She also transferred $40,000 to a personal account that she used that same day to pay a mortgage on her primary residence, a penthouse condominium located in Chevy Chase, Maryland. Also, on June 29, 2016, Bennett wired $24,000 to a business account at United Bank, UB7427, in the name Bennett Group Financial Services, LLC. This payment went on to fund a payroll debit for employee garnishment in the amount of $12,297.14 on June 30th, 2016. Lastly, on June 30th, 2016, the day after individual 15's $775,000 investment, $199,000 is transferred to the Eagle Bank loan account to begin the loan default payback process.
Wow. So instead of paying off her loan in full, she used most of it to fund her lavish lifestyle. Mortgage payments on multiple homes, etc.
And she's taking advantage of the elderly. Dude, that's messed up.
I mean, she's got 3 different agencies on her at this point. Someone needs to take her down.
And they will. But first, do you recall the SEC's press release and the tip-off to the FBI in 2015? It was a catalyst for Agent Custer's entire investigation.
Yeah. It said that Dawn was being investigated for charges of improper disclosure of risk, lack of transparency in her investment strategy, and inflating assets under management and investment returns by BGFS.
Right. So while we aren't quite at the point for criminal justice yet, the SEC did take action in July of 2016.
The SEC formally and permanently bars Don J. Bennett from acting as a broker or investment advisor or otherwise associating with firms that sell securities or provide investment advice to the public.
Dawn was officially barred by the SEC. And for those keeping track, she's now been barred by FINRA and the SEC.
So, there goes her financial advising business.
We have to imagine that this was a huge blow for Dawn. With this, she was legally no longer allowed to advise clients, many whose money she had been managing for years, and most of which she had moved into investments for djbennett.com.
Dawn, I must say I'm concerned about this SEC investigation happening with your business.
Carl, it's a total misunderstanding. These things happen so often in my industry. Trust me, you're just paying attention because we work together. It's truly so common.
Maybe. I'm not really up to date on financial news. I do have a Google alert set for your name and company, though.
Exactly. If you followed the news, you'd realize how common this type of thing really is. It happens all the time.
Dawn was selling complete nonsense. And as we've come to learn, her clients were falling for every word.
Hello?
Andrew, hello. How are you? How is your wife?
She's hanging in there, Dawn. It's concerning, but what can we do?
Right. Listen, Andrew, I'm calling to inform you about certain narratives that are floating around right now.
What sort of narratives?
Well, there's been a slight misunderstanding, you see, with my company, djbennett.com, and the SEC.
Who's the SEC?
Well, they're just a small exchange commission that likes to create problems for mom and pop shops like mine. They're targeting me and trying to destroy my reputation.
That's terrible, Dawn.
It really is. Look, if you hear any baseless rumors about my company from them, please ignore them.
Of course, Dawn. If anyone dares say anything against you to me, I'll give him an earful back.
Dawn was remarkable at getting ahead of all of the narratives. Simultaneously, due to the heat from the SEC and FINRA, she had to re-strategize her investment vehicle for djbennett.com victims. In 2016, she started using takeover promissory notes.
Which are?
Why don't we have Dawn explain?
Attached is the takeover promissory note, 15% of which matures on June 1st, 2017. As per Dawn Bennett, 100% owner of djbennett.com. At the time, we opened djbennett.com up for private equity ownership. The full and entire dollar amount from individual number 14 rolls over into djbennett.com and will see an automatic increase in ownership of 25% additional, which will be an enhancement from the other promissory note holders' calculation of ownership. Once the takeover promissory funds have been wired to DJ Bennett, then this agreement commences, as well as a formal legal agreement between individual number 14, Bennett, and djbennett.com will be presented to individual number 14 for his approval and signature within a week of the funds being received.
What does that mean? Professor Pope, come on, translation, please.
Well, that's the point. Dawn was purposefully being over-technical here in an effort to confuse investors into letting her handle it. She's implying that djbennett.com is going to receive private equity investment in the future. She also seems to be promising individual number 14 that he will receive a special benefit for participating in a takeover promissory note investment. She alludes to the fact that this benefit will be a preferential ownership equity calculation for djbennett.com, following the alluded to private equity investment, presumably to minimize the dilution of his new investment.
So she promised preferential treatment on a hypothetical equity calculation after a hypothetical private equity investment?
Well, that feels a bit illegal.
I don't think much of what Dawn was doing was legal. She stretched the truth as far as she could to create the perfect facade and kept that up for as long as she could. But there were cracks. Do you remember individual number 15?
The 70-year-old man from Florida who gave Dawn $775,000?
Yeah, she used it to pay off her line of credit, mortgage, and other personal expenses.
That's the one. Well, it turns out that he needed his money back ASAP, and he needed it badly.
Dawn, I want to reiterate that I am requesting a full refund of the total of $775,000 that I invested in your company, DJ Bennett, on June 27th for the stipulated brief period of 2 months, with a written guarantee of 15% interest to be paid at the end of that period. I was offered an opportunity to keep the money in your company beyond this time, but I have verbally and now in writing made it clear to you that I want all of this money returned to me by this Friday, August 26th. I have shared with you on numerous occasions that this money was withdrawn from my retirement IRA under the IRS policy of being free of any tax liability if returned within 60 days of withdrawal. That date is this Friday. As you know, this money constitutes nearly all of my net worth. I ask that you exhaust whatever means are necessary to meet this request by the time requested. Failure to do so will cost me a very substantial financial penalty. There is no other solution that will serve as an alternative. I will waive the promised interest money of approximately $20,000 if you deliver this money by the requested date. Please update me this morning on your plan for meeting this request.
Dawn, what would you like me to do here?
Just send him back what you can. That will shut him up for a little.
What we can? We're fucking broke. We don't have anything to send.
Brad, we'll figure this out. You're CFO of the year. I'm at the top of Barron's list. We'll get through this together. We always have.
Dawn, it is now 1 month from my first written request to have all of my investments in your company, DJ Bennett, returned to me, and 25 days since the receipt of the first payment of $400,000, which was received on August 26th, 4 days after a clear request to meet the 2-month deadline for return of the entire withdrawal. I have stated to you verbally many times, and most recently in person and by email 10 days ago, that I am requesting the return of the entire balance of my investment, plus interest, approximately $450,000. I have lost faith and trust in you, and now doubt your intent to return my investment in any reasonable time. The demonstration of getting half the money in 4 days strongly suggests that you have intentionally withheld the return of this investment. You have offered continual reasons to convince me to leave my investment in place and maintain a stake in your company, but I have repeatedly said no. I have also told you repeatedly that I did not want to accept your offer of payment of my entire tax liability for this year in exchange for leaving my money in place with your company. I do not want to resort to legal means to obtain these funds, but your lack of assistance in this matter is leaving me no choice. What a regrettable experience this has been.
Dawn paid him back some of his money, but not all of it, and he ended up missing the deadline to repay into his IRA without incurring a tax penalty.
Wait, wasn't that money nearly all his net worth?
Was he ever paid out?
He was. Consistent with the Ponzi scheme, he was repaid with a combination of later victim investor funds, much of which came from individual number 14.
Poor individual 14.
So Dawn's putting people on the line and paying off other people. Rinse and repeat. She's like a mini Madoff. When does she get caught?
Patience. We're getting there. Special Agent Custer was gathering the financial proof he needed to put Dawn away. And actually, just rinsing and repeating wasn't satisfying Dawn. Of course, she had to double down and raise the stakes.
Dawn, $1,000 a day. That's a lot. Maybe you dial it back a little. Take a long-range view. You don't need to do this many rituals.
Ben, the money isn't the issue here. And the fact that you think this is about money is just... At my peak, I was making $1 million a month. Don't worry about the money.
Sure, okay. If you say so.
So Dawn is spending recklessly. What else is new?
Oh, absolutely. And not just on Puja.net either.
Ooh, call on me. I know this one. More shoes.
She was still renting the luxury suite at the Cowboy Stadium, and her credit card statements from this time revealed a variety of personal expenses. an $8,306 anti-aging and weight loss charge, a $10,575 Syngentix pharmacy charge, a $7,836 charge at the Ritz-Carlton South Beach, and a $7,423 charge at Saks Fifth Avenue.
At least she had good taste.
Not much you can do when you have great taste but don't have the money, and she was getting desperate.
A lawsuit, Don? How are we supposed to pay these legal fees?
They pay our fees after we win, Brad. That's how it works.
They, as in Google? This is insane. You can't go after one of the biggest names in tech just because you're not happy with your search results. Plus, whoever's convincing you we have a case here is taking you for a fucking ride.
Oh, sorry, Brad. I must have forgot that you passed the bar and became a fucking lawyer!
I may not be a lawyer, but I do have enough common sense to know where this road ends for us. Even if you can't see it.
She sued Google?
She tried to sue Google. In November 2016, Bennett and DJB Holdings, LLC, filed a lawsuit against Google in the United States District Court for the District of Columbia, alleging defamation, tutorious interference, and intentional infliction of emotional distress.
That's ridiculous. Google just lets you Google things. If she wanted to sue, she should have sued someone who spoke against her. And not that she'd have any legs to stand on, but at least that's a more fair case. Sue the person or entity that wronged you.
Like I said, Dawn was getting desperate, so she had her lawyer file this lawsuit in November 2016. Unsurprisingly, it was dismissed on June 21st, 2017.
Dawn needs help. Where's Pooja.net when you need it, huh?
Speaking of Pooja.net...
You've reached Ben Collins of Pooja.net. Sorry I can't take your call. Please leave me a message, and I'll call you back when the stars align. Namaste.
Mr. Collins, this is FBI Special Agent Custer. We need to speak to you about one of your more, active clients. And no, this is not a joke.
Next time on the Fraud Files.
Brad, where is Don?
Where the fuck is Dawn, Brad?
Hello?
Brad, it's done. Don't forget to mention I was away for business in China for 3 months this year.
FBI, put your hands up! We have a search warrant! Get on the ground now!
Sir, we found 2 large freezers. We've never seen anything like this before.
Jesus, that reeks. Is it human?
We don't believe so, sir.
You're saying they found what at Dawn's apartment? That's insane.
I cross and cover you. Come under my command. I command you to hold your tongue.
Don't want to wait for the rest of the episodes to drop? Head over to FloQacademy.com to listen to the whole season now. That's FloQacademy.com. FLOQADEMY.com.